Students of Success, Dr. Mike here. Today I wanted to talk to you about common sense, what it is, and how do you develop it. Before I do that, I was thinking the other day, my wife said, why do you make these videos? What are you trying to accomplish? And I thought about it for a second, and it's not for the masses or to that. I do this more as almost like a record for future generations of mine, for my grandkids and their grandkids, because the things that I'm talking about seem a little bit harsh or a little bit not mainstream, but 30 and 40 years ago, this was common sense, all this stuff. One of the smartest people that I ever knew in my life was my grandfather, who never spent a day in college, or never did that, but learned everything from books, from experiences, and we'll talk about that. He had common sense because he developed it. And I don't want this type of attitude, thought process to be lost over the generations. So I'm hoping maybe you're watching this right now, 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now, to know how the success principles, the way that you're supposed to think, because we are going in a direction that is so destructive. And I'm hoping the pendulum swings back here at some point, because it can't go much further than the way that it is right now. So what I wanted to talk to you today was about common sense and what it is. And I looked up the definition, and I kind of added something to me, but to me, common sense is the judgment and the reasoning applied to everyday decisions based off of our experience and our observations. This results in the ability to think about consequences of our actions or inactions. I added that last part there because I think that's the most important. And here's the key. And this is what's killing people with common sense and developing it. They are not going out and having the experiences, the observations, because they're sitting at home on computer games all day long, watching YouTube, flicking through their phone, and they're not out there experiencing the world. So what are some things that we could do to be able to get ourselves out there to develop this common sense so we can actually have a productive life, that we can actually pass something on to the next generation? Because what is happening with this generation now, the younger one, I can't necessarily say that it is your fault. It's the fault of people my age that are allowing this to happen and not speaking up and talking like this. But I could talk all day, but if you're not going to listen, it's not going to do any good for you at all. And usually the things that you hear when you're younger, you poo-poo off, but then when you get older, you're like, man, I wish I would have listened to that. It sounds like every day that he's getting smarter and smarter. And I know my own kids have said, they think that. But now I have 3 super productive kids that already talk about how they're going to do things and spend time with their kids and teach them certain lessons. And they're in their 20s. So it's gone on to the generation. So I'm thankful and hopeful that happens, but I wanted to have a record of this. So hopefully this helps them and also helps you at the same time. So as I said, the first thing that we need to do to develop our common sense is get up off your ass. Go do things. Go experience things. Don't worry about winning and losing and failing and succeeding and all those types of things. Go for a walk. Go to a different place. If you go outside, go to a different place each time. But you got to get up and get out of the house. Stop watching vacation videos on YouTube that other people have done. You got to go experience things. So you got to learn. That's the only way you're going to develop a sense about the world and how it works and how that you relate to it. The second thing is develop your critical thinking skills. Anytime somebody says something or you see something, you should question it. Because we are lied to so much in the media today and manipulated by the news, by just politics and politicians and businesses. Everything is a big manipulation. So you have to actually sit there and think of where is the money going and what is the outcome that they're trying to get us to take. What is the path that they want us to take? And everything's not a conspiracy theory, but you gotta at least consider things. You gotta think about it. Why are they saying this? Why are they telling us to do this? Why are they telling us all to get a vaccination when it's not even proven? Why does it help them? Is it because of money? Is it because whatever? We could go down that hole all day long, but think about why people are pushing things on you. Think critically. Next one, practice self-reflection, and I talk about reflecting a lot. After you have a day and things go good, or if things go bad for you, sit down in the chair for 10 minutes minimum and think about it. What did you learn from it? Is there something you would have done differently? Are there things that you did good that got you to a certain positive outcome that you would want to repeat? These are the things that are going to build that common sense inside of you. So whenever you have to react to things or respond, it's already there. And I tell you about the lack of common sense when I had a pizza shop. I had a 19-year-old kid who was working for me. At the end of the night, I'm counting the money, standing at the thing. I turn around, it looks like the place is flooded. And I look at him, he's mopping, and he's taking the mop out of the bucket and not wringing it out, just slopping it on the floor, and the whole place wet. And I said, what the hell are you doing? He said, this is the first time I've ever mopped the floor. 19 years old. Did not know that you had to wring out a mop. Well, he learned because he got fired that night because the floor was so slippery somebody could have fell and broke their neck. However, when you say common sense, was he able to even develop that? Because he's never, at 19 years old, never picked up a mop. Whose fault is that? His? Or maybe his parents for not making him work. It's not my job to parent the kid. That's one reason why I sold my businesses, especially my last pizza shop. I was tired of being a parent to all these kids. I know a lot of school teachers today are quitting teaching K to 12 because parents are just dropping their kids off and expecting them to parent them. It's not what schools are supposed to be for. It's supposed to be for learning, not for parenting. That's supposed to take place at home, but that's an entirely different story there. Seek knowledge continuously. You should always be trying to learn something new, not going down the same path all of the time. When I say about learning something, I was very guilty of this at one point in time because we went, when my kids were young, for 20 years, we went to Disney World 20 plus times. And I think back, I'm like, we could have spent all that money and gone and had other experiences, but we kept having the same experience over and over and over and over, and we weren't learning anything from it. The kids enjoyed it, but they weren't learning anything. And you may do the same thing whenever you go out to dinner. Is there one or two places that you go all the time? You never experience something new? So the next time you do go out to dinner, you go out for a drink or whatever you're going to do, pick a place that you've never been. I know we feel comfortable because we go somewhere and we're like, okay, we know what our expectations are. Go try something. Maybe it'll be terrible, but you'll learn something new. That's the whole idea of it. And it helps to develop that sense where you know, I'm not going to go to a place like that. And it just starts to become who you are. It becomes your personality, that common sense about things. Next one, stay calm. I was guilty of this myself, but self-awareness allowed me to think about this. In certain instances, I would react, be incredibly reactive. I get an email, and without really digesting it and reading it, I would respond, and then I'd go back and read it, and I'd be like, maybe I shouldn't have sent that. Or whenever somebody says something to you, and then you react immediately, and you're like, man, I shouldn't have done that. Best case scenario, if you can, wait a day to respond. Just like they do in sports now before you want to go to talk to a coach. They want the parents to have a 24-hour cooling down or whatever. Think about what you're going to say. Don't react. Respond. But maintain your calm, because going crazy and being irate does absolutely no good. And not only that, it makes you look like an idiot because you can't control your emotions. You know, this world is supposed to be, if you want to be successful, you have to be logical and not, emotional. Emotions are good because they let you feel things and they'll make you, add to your drive and going forward. But we can't let them control our actions, especially whenever it's a high temper, high situation moment. And this is not something where you can just say, well, I learned that and now I'm that way all the time, because that's a daily thing. These things are daily. You know, we have to relearn these things every day and put them into action until they become easier. It's just like lifting the weights. And the last one is learning from our failures, learning from the things that happen in our life. That's where the main common sense comes in. We get a sense about things because we learn. How many people do you know that do the same thing over and over and over again and wonder why they're getting the same result? That's a lack of common sense. If you start an exercise program, but you're still going to McDonald's twice a day, breakfast and dinner, or going out and eating continuous fast food, well, you have no common sense to know that that's not the right thing to be doing. You know, you can't burn 500 calories a day and then decide that you're going to ingest an extra 1,500 calories a day. You got to have some common sense. So what I'm saying is the number one thing is go out and experience the world. Travel. Most people in the area that I'm in have never left the county. So what experience? All they know is what they know in this little single box. Is that you? Because your senses will only be as big as what you allow them to be. You can't have this worldly view and understand things if you sit in your house all day, you watch YouTube, you watch the news, it doesn't matter if it's Fox or CNN or whatever side you're on like that. Everybody's pumping the same propaganda at you. You're not critically thinking. They don't want critical thinkers. They want robots. You know, when you start thinking critically, that's when you become dangerous to them. Imagine a country of all critical thinkers. And every time something happened, we sat back and, I wonder if they're telling me the truth. When enough people start saying, I wonder if they're telling me the truth, that's when things start to fall apart for them. And that's when things are going to start getting good for the people. When we start thinking, we develop that common sense that, you know, there is good in the world. Everything's not evil. But we have got to come up and make it good. And the best way to do that, and I say this a lot, and years ago, this was common sense. The best thing that you can do to create a better world is to create a better you. And the only way you can create a better you is by focusing on you first. Develop you. Develop all the things about you. You know, become selfish in the regard that you care about you, that you love yourself. How can you expect to love other people or have them love you if you don't even love yourself? I mean, to me, that's common sense. Is that common sense to you? Can you hate yourself and expect others to love you? That makes no sense to me. So focus on you, and remember there are only so many days left. So go out and experience the world. Develop those senses. Have common sense so you can live the best life you possibly can. Like and subscribe to the channel for more information, guys, and I'll talk to you later.